Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew with Living History's Mysteries and the Midwest Parahistoric Society. You know, I actually had a chance to sit down with the wife last night and watch a little bit of TV. And while she was getting dinner ready, I found an old movie from, I believe, 1995, starring Keanu Reeves and Rachel Weisz, called Constantine. Now, I'm sure if you've seen the movie before, you're familiar with the gentleman at the very beginning of the movie finding an object buried down in Mexico called the Spear of Destiny. Now, this thing is shrouded in legend, but believed by many religious groups, including the Roman Church, as actually existing. And many different locations throughout the world claim to have this Spear of Destiny, just the spear tip, not the shaft itself, in their possession. But today we're going to take a look at the version of the Spear of Destiny that was featured in that movie, because that is the one in the movie Constantine that was believed to be held by Hitler and taken just a couple days by the Americans before Hitler decided that his possible reign of supremacy was over and he took his own life. It's an interesting story about an interesting piece of historic mystery, one that's fascinated me for a long time, and I'm really glad I found that movie last night because it made me want to look even harder to find out what I could. Check this out.
Four of the canonized Gospels of the Bible, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, John is the only Gospel that accounts the piercing of Jesus' side, and that by doing this, one of the prophecies was fulfilled, that not one bone would be broken in his body. According to occult practices, it is said that whoever possesses the Spear of Destiny controls the fate of the world. As mentioned in the book of John in the Holy Bible, while Jesus was on Calvary being crucified, it was imperative that his friends and family remove his body to start the embalming process because the Sabbath was approaching. In order to speed up death during this type of execution, many times the legs of the person on the cross would be broken to speed up the death process. Now, as mentioned in the Bible, when they got to Jesus to break his legs, he was already gone. And so a Roman soldier pierced his side just to double check. And out of his side came blood and water. Now, it is said that this Roman soldier's name was Longinus, and Longinus had a bum eye. Apparently, he had suffered an injury in previous battle, and when the blood of Jesus fell upon his face, his eye was miraculously cured. The story goes that at that moment, Longinus himself became a Christian. And many people believe that Longinus himself was actually the very first Christian, because Longinus was a Roman soldier and not Jewish. Now, Longinus would go on to be sainted by the Catholic Church. However, one of the most ironic things about Longinus to me is that his name is not mentioned in the canonized Bible. In fact, the only place we find his name is in one of the banned books of the Bible that the Catholic Church itself has called heretical. But as the story goes, Longinus would be the first of many that would experience miracles while in possession of the spear. But you see, it's not the spear itself that is allegedly powerful, but the blood of a living God that is encrusted on that spear. Now, just like many other relics associated with Jesus Christ or any of the early Christians, the Spear of Destiny has definitely taken on a life of its own. And you see, there are many places that claim to have the Spear of Destiny. These places include Rome, where one is said to be preserved beneath the dome of St. Peter's Basilica. The second place is Armenia, which is, for all intent and purposes, a religious capital itself, and it is thought that the Spear of Destiny was brought by the Apostle Thaddeus. The third one is Antioch. In Antioch, a monk had a vision during the siege of Antioch in 1098, where he claims St. Andrew told him where it was buried. But the fourth one, the one that we're most interested in for our story here today, is in Vienna. Because in 1908, a young man by the name of Adolph Hitler became obsessed with this Spear of Destiny. You see, for a young Hitler, he believed that this Spear of Destiny was his destiny and was also connected to the Holy Grail. 30 years later, in 1938, when Hitler invaded Austria to annex Austria onto Germany, one of the first things he did was to confiscate the Spear of Destiny. Now, many people believe that in 1945, when the spear was taken by an American soldier, that was when Hitler lost all of his power and decided to take himself off the earth plane. Since we're focusing on the Spear of Destiny that ended up in Vienna, we're going to follow the timeline of Jesus' death all the way to 1945, just so that we have a better understanding of why this particular spear was so important to Hitler. Now, as many of you know, if you've been on this channel for a while, we are all very aware that after Jesus was crucified, his apostles and disciples were basically fugitives. We know that they had to make a run for it, and they scattered all over the greater world as they knew it. Because they were fugitives, they were able to go out and become what is probably the first Christian missionaries. After the death of Jesus, it is alleged that the Spear of Destiny, along with some other artifacts, were held at an armory in Jerusalem. In 66 AD, there were some Jewish revolts. Well, at this point, the armory was completely destroyed, and the spear seemed to go missing. By 135 AD, Emperor Hadrian wanted all relics destroyed that were associated with Jesus. In fact, it wasn't just the relics associated with Jesus that Hadrian wanted destroyed. He also wanted the total destruction of Jerusalem and all people claiming to be of Jewish descent expelled from the city. Around this time, we see the legend of the Spear of Destiny grow. Again, we already know that apparently it healed Longinus's eye, and now it's gone missing. And I think because it went missing, this grandiose story starts to snowball around certain locals. This spear was missing for about 300 years, and it wasn't until Constantine the Great's mother decided that she was going to excavate Jerusalem that the spear was allegedly found. Now, you all know what I think about Constantine. Constantine was not a Christian. I know that it's taught to us in schools that he was the first ever Roman Christian, and he turned, Christianity to be the official religion of the Roman Empire. But what most people don't understand is that the religion that Constantine created, that he called Christianity, is not Christianity. It's Mithraism. And Constantine and his family were Mithraic. Now, obviously, this is a Canaanite faith, and Canaanites do know how powerful Jesus is and was. So even a Canaanite would want the possession of the Spear of Destiny. In fact, for the dark cult, their whole objective is to invert anything having to do with Jesus or Christianity. So it doesn't surprise me that Constantine's mother would be in Jerusalem excavating, looking for this particular spear that had a legend attached to it, that it itself held mystical powers. Allegedly, there was a temple of Venus that was discovered by Helena. And under this temple was a tomb. It was believed then that this was actually the tomb of Jesus. And in this tomb, the alleged Spear of Destiny was found. Once Constantine became emperor, the lance itself was kept in a basilica in Jerusalem. And then it was moved to Constantinople. Because remember, Constantinople was built by Constantine, and of course he named the city after himself. It is said that even the pagan tribes of Europe believed that this Spear of Destiny was powerful, and they themselves would fight wars to try to find this mystical Spear of Destiny. In 670, Jerusalem is recaptured, and this time it is restored. All the relics are returned back to the city. However, at this point, the tip of the spear was broken off, and this tip of the spear stayed in Constantinople while the shaft of the spear went back to Jerusalem. Both objects appear to still keep their power, because again, it's not about the object, but it's about the blood on the object. In 768, we see the beginnings of the rulings of the French king Charlemagne. Now, Charlemagne was the start of the Holy Roman Empire, and it is said that the Pope gave Charlemagne the Spear of Destiny 25 years before he became king. While King Charlemagne allegedly battled 47 battles with the Spear of Destiny on him. And of course, while carrying the spear, there were victories. Charlemagne died in 814. But by around 900 AD, we see the Spear of Destiny in the hands of a Saxon king. This Saxon king sold the Spear of Destiny to an Italian who gave it to King Rudolph of Burgundy. At this point, King Rudolph of Burgundy made a deal with Henry I of Germany by trading it for a province in Switzerland. Now, King Henry I of Germany is considered to be the founder of Germany. And according to Adolph Hitler, he was the beginning of the First Reich. Now, when King Henry I died, he left the spear to his son, Otto. Now, at the Battle of Bergen, it is said that Otto prayed over the spear until there was a victory. And you see, in my opinion, Otto was pretty smart. He was pretty good with his PR and his marketing campaign. At this point, the legend of the spear was so great that Otto decided he was going to make copies. He gave the copies of the spear to the kings of Hungary and Poland. Now, these kings of Hungary and Poland knew that these were only copies of the spear that Otto had. But you see, Otto told them that he touched his spear to their spear, so therefore now their spears carry power too. This was smart on Otto's part because now Otto has allies. Now, there is also speculation that Otto himself did not believe that the spear of destiny he possessed was the real spear of destiny. However, it is clear that Otto did believe that this spear of destiny did contain some power. Now, a few generations down the line, Otto III is now in possession of this spear of destiny, and he did something to make the spear even greater. He allegedly had one of the nails from Jesus' crucifixion added to this spear. This spear is now becoming a divine symbol of Germanic power. By 1250, Frederick II moved the Spear of Destiny to Nuremberg, where it stayed for 550 years. In 1800, Napoleon conquered Austria. This put an end to the Holy Roman Empire. It is said that Napoleon also wanted to take possession of the Spear of Destiny. However, upon his arrival in Austria, it is said that the Habsburg family had the Spear of Destiny smuggled out. And the Habsburg family is one of the 13 families that rule our world today, and they had been in control since the 13th century. And it seems rather ironic that such a powerful family wanted that Spear of Destiny and were terrified that Napoleon himself might eventually possess it. The spear went on display in Vienna. Now, I want to note as well that the Habsburgs are from Vienna, so that makes sense that they would eventually then just put it on display under their own control. However, in 1938, Hitler did take control of the Spear of Destiny. It is said that Hitler then moved the Spear of Destiny back to Nuremberg, where it had been when it was under Germanic control. We know that Hitler was obsessed with the occult. We know that Hitler relied on mediums like Maria Orsic and banned things like astrology and tarot card readers from the general public so that he himself could possess that knowledge all alone. We know that he worked with the Pope to create dogma and indoctrination, to have people stop participating in any type of divination. And as I said in the beginning of this video, at the end of Hitler's life, it is said that the Spear of Destiny ended up with the Americans. And perhaps that's what caused his life to end. That he had lost his power because he had lost possession of the Spear of Destiny. We now know that perhaps he didn't lose his life in 1945, but instead was brought out of Germany and perhaps into Argentina or the United States of America under an operation called Operation Paperclip. Does this mean that Vienna still holds the Spear of Destiny? Was the spear that the United States military took control of in 1945 the real Spear of Destiny, or was it another fake? And did the real Spear of Destiny leave Germany with all of the Germans who escaped through Operation Paperclip in 1945? And if that is the case, who now possesses the Spear of Destiny? Or is the Spear of Destiny just folklore? A lot of skeptics say that there is no way a relic 2,000 years old would still exist. But others still say that it is possible. And even more say that it is especially possible because this spear contains the blood of a living God.
Welcome back. Like I said in the beginning, the legend of the Spear of Destiny, the spear that pierced Christ's side as he hung on the cross crucified, the option they took instead of breaking his legs, because according to the stories, he was already gone at that time. But they didn't bring somebody down from a crucifixion without breaking the legs. But they showed a little more respect to the living God. And the story of what happened to that Roman soldier's eyes when the blood dropped onto his face, supposedly documented by many of the witnesses and the family of the people who were hanging with Christ in crucifixion that day. Is it true? God only knows. History tells a complete story from the day that that tip pierced the side of Jesus Christ, clear up until, well, let's just say that the tip, the spear tip, still surfaces in a story or a presidential book of secrets from time to time. God only knows if it's true or not. But it is one hell of a mystery that history left behind. But that's all I got for you guys today. As always, I'd like to ask you guys to please like this video and share it out. Like-minded people, friends, family, the family pet, even the dog down the road you don't like, as long as he has YouTube. Anybody who enjoys stories about history and the mysteries that it left behind. I'd also like to ask you to subscribe to the channel. It's free. Don't cost anything to subscribe. And you never know when we're going to put up a video that you're not going to want to miss. So until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. We do. Happy hunting.